Hey folks, welcome back to the No Frills Web Animation Challenge. Here we got the round 2 results. Alright, so here we have the challenge 1 results file that I used. The boxes, you'll see that they meet and then they go away in opposing directions, okay? So what we want to do here for challenge 2 is fade in the graph element for 2 seconds prior to the other animations. Alright, one of the big strengths of a GSAP timeline is that you can add things to the beginning without changing anything that follows. So here we're going to do a tl.from, and it's going to be the graph element, and we're just going to do a duration, we'll say, of 2 seconds and an opacity of 0. So now when I run, pay attention that the graph is going to fade in with all of its children, and then the boxes are going to move together and then go in opposing directions, all right? I could make this first tween here 10 seconds long, and I don't have to adjust the duration or delay or wait time of any of the other tweens that follow, okay? Totally flexible in that regard. Now, for the next part here, have the green element grow from left to right over the course of the entire animation. Now, this is a little tricky, but not a problem with GSAP. You might think, oh, well, the green thing is going to grow the whole time. Maybe I'll put it at the start of the animation. Well, check this out. I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to put it at the end, and I'm going to say dot from, and the thing is called green to keep things easy. And for the duration, what I'm going to do is use a dynamic amount. Since it's all a JavaScript object that has its own little methods, I could say tl.duration, and that's going to dynamically pull the duration of all the tweens and delays and everything prior to this tween being inserted, and we'll do from a scale x of 0. Now, I don't want this to occur at the end, so what I'm going to do is put it using the position parameter at a time of 0. So check this out. It's going to sort of work. What you'll see though is that for the entire animation it scales, but it's coming from the center because the default transform origin of these elements is the center. So within the tween, I could set the transform origin to be 0, 0. I could also do that in CSS, but you know me, I like JavaScript. So let's run it one more time. And now you'll see that for the entire animation, the green bar is growing, and it stops, boom, right when those boxes stop. So using this dynamic duration value, I could then later have the client say, oh, that fade in the beginning is too long. Let's make that 1 second. And you know what? I don't have to change the duration value here. I don't have to do a bunch of math adding up all the durations of all the other tweens or the delays. All right, and it just works, boom, just the way we want it to. Oh, except one thing, keep an eye on the green bar. It starts fast and then slows down towards the end. That's because there's a default ease out, ease on there. So I would probably just, although it's not part of the challenge, set that to a none, and then you get more of an idea of it being sort of like a progress bar. Again, not part of the challenge, just something I just thought of. Now we have constant rate of motion there, and we're good. Oh, and another last thing, I did put this little effect in here so that when you click on the graph, you can replay it and not have to wait for a page reload, okay? Again, not part of the challenge, but very easy to do with GSAP, and something as simple as that can really help you when you're debugging longer animations. Oh, I keep saying I'm done, but I'm not. Just a quick little recap. The point of this part of the challenge was to emphasize that with GSAP, you can add stuff to your animation without having to change code in other places. So again, I can add a tween to the beginning and not affect anything else. This tween that lasts the entire duration of the animation can be added without doing any math or having any consideration of the durations of other tweens or delays. All right, now we'll go see what other people did. Let's go. It was a big surprise and honor to see that the keyframers decided to take on my challenge live. They did an awesome job. I totally recommend watching the video, details below. But first, let me just go over their code and a few highlights. Alright, so let's take a look at the code. The keyframers definitely got it done. This wasn't much of a challenge for them. They know what they're doing. But it's a little bit different than Shashaw's take in round 1. Here for red and blue, each has a single set of keyframes that's being used for the lifespan of their animations. We'll just take a quick look at the keyframes for Red 1, and you'll see here that from 0 to 25%, we have the horizontal motion. From 25 to 50%, we're staying static in the middle there, and then for the rest of the time, they're moving up. All right, that's for Red. Now, what I have a problem with keyframes is these percentages, all right? You can't look at this and know how long this animation is. I have to, kind of scroll up and say, oh, okay, it's 4 seconds. Now, for this, that pause in the middle worked out very conveniently for them because it was the middle of a 4-second long animation for 1 second. So it was easy to get the 25% to 50%. If I was a real jerk and said, oh, make it 0.3 seconds long and have it happen at a time of 1.5 seconds, well, then you're playing a whole game of converting percentages or converting time to percentages, and it can be a real drag. Interestingly enough, during the live stream, Shaw showed us how he submitted a proposal to the W3C about using time-based markers instead of percentages for these keyframes, and that would be huge if it goes through. So all in all, despite my little problems with CSS animations, you know what? They got the job done, and it worked. Now to take it a step further into challenge 2 with the fade in and more particularly the green bar growing, let's take a look at their other example. So in this example, they're getting into the variable game where they are declaring some different durations that they can then add together to get the total duration. So that's definitely going to make things more flexible. They can change one variable and have it impact multiple animations without making a bunch of changes. So that definitely makes things easier. And again, big credit for doing this live and somewhat blind without any studying in advance. Cool. And one last thing about the keyframers, I didn't realize they had a little click to restart toggle in there. Pretty sneaky, sis. Let's go over here and you'll see that they have this do it again function which toggles the hidden property of the graph element, all right? So obviously I'd prefer just to write restart, but I didn't know about this, so pretty cool to learn that you could restart CSS animations by toggling that hidden value. All right, folks, Jay came back with both guns blazing and doubled down on his scoped variables. Definitely check out his challenge 1 results, but for challenge 2, in this wrapper here, he's adding variables for fade speed, timing function, horizontal speed, horizontal weight, vertical weight. And as we scroll on down, we'll see how he uses these variables in different parts of his setup for his animation code. For red and blue, he's going all out here, all right? Using calc and all these variables, doing multiplication. It gets pretty nuts. Moving on down to green, we'll see that he's adding the different fade speeds plus the horizontal weight plus the horizontal speed. So yes, I could say it's more flexible, but it's a lot of work to set up and, it might be a little bit over-engineered. But anyway, huge thumbs up for Jay. Awesome job. Alrighty, Louis came back and got the job done with the Web Animations API. You'll see that he put an animation keyframe for the wrapper element here, opacity 0 to 1, duration 2000, not a big deal. For the red animation keyframes, I suspect he had to change the delay to 2000 and then also do the same thing down for blue here. No big deal really. And then for the green timeline keyframes, he just added those in with a duration which he added up of 6,000. So it shows this is totally possible with the Web Animations API. I think the code's a bit verbose, and again, you make one change, you gotta change 2 other things, but no fault to Louis. As the challenge goes on, if anybody wants to jump in and do this with the WAPI groups or sequence effects, I would love to see how that works, even if it's with a polyfill. Just putting it out there. Alrighty folks, thanks again so much to the keyframers, Jay and Louis, for participating in this challenge and keeping it going. It was awesome being on the Keyframers show. Everybody follow these people, and a special shout out to everybody else who did the challenge, but I just don't have time to go over every result. Stay tuned, round 3 is going to be the double death blow.